thinking about education and the concept of teaching somebody something, educating people, training people. Mozart studied music, but he was not educated by anybody. He had an ability that nobody, such that nobody could improve on. If you have a person who's a tall basketball player, he can learn new things to improve his play, but you can't teach or train or educate or improve on his height. You can't make him grow bigger than his DNA has done. You can't really educate, train, or instruct anybody in anything. Their natural ability is set forth by their DNA. You can't make a person educators, teachers, instructors, trainers. There's a subtle difference. They think, I am teaching this person and that's why they become more proficient. No. Actually, the person is learning new ways to express what they've already got. And there's a subtle difference here that hasn't been made yet. The person who thinks they're a trainer has, like, suppose you had a student, Nureyev, you say, I want to show him some new moves. In this case, it might be the pirouette. Well, you can't actually know what's inside Nureyev. The pirouette is an abstract. It has no meaning. The words, I love you, have no meaning. You can teach a person to say the words, I love you. There's no meaning there. You haven't taught the person to love, have you? You haven't improved on the person. The person who hears I love you and learns and inculcates that, the receiver in this person, the quote student, gives meaning for himself. You did not teach him the meaning. You gave him the opportunity to increase his vocabulary, but you did not give him the meaning of the vocabulary, because the meaning is specific to that student. He has to train himself. You did not teach him how to train himself when you taught him the words, I love you. You gave him the concept of pirouette, and Nureyev had to give it life according to himself. Somebody else who learned the pirouette would give it a different meaning. One person says, I love you. The other person says, I love you. The other person says, I love you. It's the same words. The words have no inherent meaning. The person who learns vocabulary already has the meaning inside of himself. Now, with the words, I love you, he can use the words, but he's going to use them in so many different ways, the same words, under so many different conditions. He has now just got a way to improve his ability to express what's already inside him. What does love mean? Well, that's where his upbringing with his mother and his father. Love nurtures him. They don't teach him to love. They give and nurture him love, milk, love, and DNA uses both of those, and then the child can develop. Later, the child has this development that has happened so that he is capable of loving. His parents did not teach him to love. The third grade teacher that gave him the words, I love you, did not teach him to love. The 3-year-old whose music teacher taught him the scales, did not teach him how to play music that was inside of himself, the child's natural ability. He did not improve on that natural ability. He gave the young musician more vocabulary so that the child could express what was already growing and developing inside of himself by the child's own DNA. The particular scales, or the ability to do scales, or to understand harmony, these are just additional windows in the musician that let out what's brewing inside. Beethoven's Fifth was brewing inside of himself, and he had all this vocabulary. They hadn't taught him to be a better musician. They had given him tools, and he gave those meaning, and he used them according to what was inside of himself. It's a very subtle difference between training, teaching, and what's actually going on. But it makes a huge difference in how the, quote, teacher approaches his role. Predominant view that teachers have, and that school boards and everybody has, is to teach rote, basically. 99% probably teaches rote. Most of the time people don't even realize it's just rote. But the ubiquitous rote is where you teach the multiplication tables, and the student basically bites down and regurgitates, really. Give them 3 numbers, 4-digit numbers, and get some. Give them vocabulary, words to learn, write down the definitions, see if they match the Webster's definitions. Give them a assignment to write, just write, and the teachers examine the writing for spelling, sentence structure, construction, idea presentation, topic sentence, outline, organization, flow, newness, originality. Same with painting. And if all those match up, the student is given an A, or given an award, or gets a job. The teacher did not teach or improve on that writer's natural ability at all. The teacher recognized there was some creativity there, and there was some ability there, but the teacher did not improve on it. The teacher taught him ways to format and present. And the teacher may have given him ways to recognize and to optimize and to better match what he's writing to what's inside of himself. But the teacher is not improving on the quality of ideas or the quality that the student writer already has. Again, this has not been improved on. So the educational system, just the sound of it, if you have 3 strikes against you when you say those words, and you think you've got something, you think you're teaching something, it's rote. The person has a natural ability. Here's an example. You take a painter, an artist, and like every artist, they get inspirations. Well, he cannot manufacture inspirations. It's like you find a place and you see a diamond on the surface, and so you start digging and you find more diamonds. You can't manufacture where these diamonds are placed. You don't have that ability to say, okay, I'm going to dig here, but okay, I'm going to think in my mind there are going to be 5 diamonds, one at 1 foot, one at 6 inches, and one over there at 1 meter away. You can't do that. That's not the way life is. And an artist can't say, I'm going to get an inspiration today. I'm going to go sit down in that chair and I'm going to have an inspiration. That's not the way life works. People say with inventors, think about problems and how you might solve these problems. That's not an inspiration. That's like going out and hunting up and see if there's some vacant land, see if you can't find a diamond lying on the surface. And then you find a diamond and there, or you find a nugget of gold or something, and everybody goes, geez, what a genius you are. That's not creativity. Inventors do get inspirations, but you can't manufacture inspirations. And a writer gets inspirations as well. Where do these come from then? Because the source, how to get inspirations, well, let's say how to catch inspirations. In other words, kind of like there's all kinds of things floating through the air all the time. Some are useful, some are not. Some are pretty, like butterflies. But you can't manufacture, I'm going to have a butterfly, I'm going to get a net, and I'm going to have a butterfly in front of me in half an hour right here, and I'll capture it. It's not the way life works. Well, we have our five senses, your eyes, your taste, etc. And this gives you a window, each gives a partial window into what's around us. If you close your eyes, you can't see what was there. But everything is still there. And, if something bumped into you and you grabbed it, you were hungry and you grabbed it and it was something to eat, there you have an inspiration. You can't manufacture that being there. It happened to you. If your eyes were open, you could have seen it. It would help you out a lot. But you see, each sense is only a partial view of what's going on. Well, and actually, there's more than five senses. It's just like there's more to education than people are looking into. People are accepting things that are just partial. And there's very subtle differences. Yes, they are very subtle, but that's what's important about them. So, given there are more organs of intake that a human has. Your eyes are an organ of intake for what's going on around you. There are light waves for the eyes, there are sound waves for the ears, there's molecules for the taste, there's more light waves for heat, molecular motion. So and even these additional organs of perception are still just a partial information, and your mind, if you are using additional, you still have to correlate it all together. But opening up all your organs of perception is you become able to receive, quote, inspirations, new ideas. They're not permutations of previous ideas that you've concocted improvements on previous. No, these are inspiration. When an artist has an inspiration, he has a brand new painting, something that has never been created before. And one writer said, I did not write the book, it wrote me. Rumi said when he sat down to write poetry, he did not know what he was going to write. people who have their senses open to the sources of inspiration, where do these come from? You can't manufacture these. You can only be open to them. If you have a lot of noise in your room, you won't hear the beautiful birds singing outside unless you're quiet on the inside. If you have a lot of conversations going on in your head and all kinds of things, you won't be able to physically use your ears. Your mind won't be able to correlate all the information it's getting from your various organs of perception. One person said, if silence is genuinely inside you, it will bring you what you need. He didn't say what you want. You can't manufacture. That's wanting is like saying, I'm going to dig up a diamond 5 feet over there. He said, it's what you need. This is according to who you are, according to your specific, unique DNA as a human. And then the rest of the thing goes, live in silence. He didn't mean to be stupid and not think and do anything. He was talking about something very specific. And if you do that, if you give that saying meaning, if silence is genuinely inside you, it will bring you what you need. Live in silence. If you give that meaning to what that can mean in your life, if you figure out by trial and error what that means, it's really nice if you have some help, because figuring that out is not a trivial thing. I know your intellect thinks it's a trivial thing and thinks it understands, but this is not your intellect you're using. This person, when he wrote this, does not mean to use your freaking intellect. You do need to have assist of your intellect, but you have to have the full operation of your intelligence. And you want to have all the organs of your perception open and silence inside of you so that you can perceive what's coming in on all your organs of perception, because they're all kind of partial. But if you're open like this, if you keep your window open, all kinds of stuff will float in with a morning dew. You can't manufacture the dew. You can't manufacture these things that are floating in. You're a human. You can't do that kind of thing. But it's out there. For an inventor, inspiration, if a person is an inventor, the inspirations that will come in their window, people get all kinds of inspirations, not just in their field of interest, but this is why all kinds of stuff are floating in everybody's window all the time. But people they're not aware of just how to catch these things. Because, if something floats in your window, you've got to write it down. What is it? You've got to make a recording of it. You've got to create that picture, because it's going to, like a snowflake, it's going to evaporate. It can evaporate within seconds. Or it may stick around for years. When you come across an apple on the ground, pick it up, examine it, eat it. Is it something you want to take with you? Because tomorrow it may not be there, Something may come along and eat it, may rot, who knows? You can't teach people to have better inspirations. People have to take an abstract concept like that saying and give it meaning within their life so that they're able to do something. You're not improving on who they are. You're giving an opportunity to develop new vocabulary within themselves so they can open themselves to inspiration, which is the lifeblood of the human species. It is the lifeblood of the human species. To be connected as a conduit, taking inspiration, making him a reality to the rest of humanity. If you receive an inspiration, if you don't make it real and give it body and bring it to realization where other people can see it, hear it, feel it, sense it, taste it, it's gone. So becoming a conduit is of huge and vital and essential importance to the human race and to the survival of the species. People think, I want to be a teacher. It's so great. Think to be a teacher. What you're doing, you're improving people's lives and everything. Well, all this time you're doing that when you could have been a conduit for humanity and all the inspirations that you missed because you were occupied with trying to teach somebody something when they might be better off for humanity if they were a conduit. Conduits like Mozart, Einstein, Nureyev, etc., Salk, they're revered for their accomplishments. They're revered for their inspirations without anybody thinking, where did the inspirations come from? Where are these diamonds coming from? It's time for the human race to wake up. The importance, and you see an inspiration, a great development, a great something that's an inspiration, think, where did it come from? Knowing where it came from and how to open up and become a conduit for the human race is far more important than focusing on giving somebody a Nobel Prize and then nobody thinks about, gee, this person's great, but where did it come from? People have said to me, oh, geez, that's great. Wow, that's such a neat thing. And gosh, how did you do such a thing or know such a thing? But it's a rhetorical question. Nobody's ever asked me seriously. Really, nobody has ever asked me in my entire life seriously. Posed me seriously, asked me point blank, where the heck did this stuff come from, Sean? How the heck do you know this? You had no training. How are you doing this? Well, I'd have told them, but nobody's asking me, so it's pointless for me to tell anybody something that they're not really curious about. But developing silence, one can act as a conduit and be able to perceive these inspirations. If you've got all noise in your head, like you got to teach or you got a Nobel Prize or something, you're just losing time when you could be being open and being a conduit. And who knows what stuff you missed coming in. Well, yeah, sure, you've got to eat and do all these things. That's true. But, it's important to spend some time. I mean, if you're interested in being a conduit and getting inspirations, getting the new inspirations that are falling out of the sky before they melt, that's important to some people, but a lot of people want to be a great artist. Why not become a great conduit? And during your lifetime, you can bring so many things out and give them embodiment in life, so other humans we can move forward. We can live better.